Hey y'all, let's do a book review. So I just finished reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. It's horror and it's about witches, of course. I really like Grady Hendrix a lot. I think I've read pretty much all of his books except maybe one. And How to Sell a Haunted House is my favorite one of his books, and this is probably my second now. But this book is about a young girl named Fern, and she's 15 and she's pregnant. And her family is, super ashamed. This is in 1970, and it was not as socially acceptable for unwed women to be pregnant, especially teenage girls. So her dad drives her down to Florida to a home for wayward girls down there, where girls who are in her situation go to have their babies in secret and have them adopted out, and then they return to their lives like nothing ever happened. So she befriends some other girls down there, and they're not happy. There's a lot of reason for them to be not happy with the situation. So there's a bookmobile who comes around every couple of weeks, and so they go in the bookmobile, and the librarian gives Fern a book that's basically like Witchcraft 101 or Witchcraft for Beginners type thing. So she and three of her closest friends there, they discover that the librarian is actually a witch, and she has a coven, and they kind of pledge themselves to her in exchange for her help casting a couple of little spells. And so they do this, and then they realize they're kind of in over their head and they want out of the deal. And she's like, nope, the witch wants something from Fern, and she's not about to let her off the hook. And so the book is basically about the girls trying to extricate themselves from that situation. And meanwhile, they're having babies. They're having their babies, and they're trying to come to terms with the fact that they've got these little babies, and of course they want to keep them and they can't, and just the emotional the whole emotional experience behind all of that while they're dealing with all of this over here. I thought the book did really good at just portraying that, here you are here, you're here to have this baby, you're not going to be going home with this baby. The goal is that you have the baby, someone takes the baby, and you go back and continue your life like it was before. But then you have the baby, and of course you want to keep the baby. And so yeah, I thought it did a really good job of going through that whole process and the thought process behind what's happening in that regard. There was social commentary on the stigma of being a pregnant unwed mother, a pregnant teenager during that time. The conflict between being forced in a way to go through this in this way, not having family support, being tossed into this place where and you're basically in hiding, because most of the time your family has told everybody that, oh, she's visiting Aunt so-and-so, or she's here, she's there. No one is saying, oh yeah, she's pregnant and she's having her baby and gonna adopt. Nobody. It's a big secret. So that you are the family secret, and you're gonna have this baby, and the baby's gonna be taken away from you, and then you're gonna go back home. And how these girls maneuver through all the emotion of that, I thought was very well done. It was very touching at times. I was angry through a lot of this book. I really was. I was so frustrated and at the way these girls were treated, even by the people who were taking care of them. Still, it was just very, very, I had a lot of emotions during this book. It was creepy as a horror book, as a horror story. There were some creepy parts of it, and that were enjoyable. And the there were I listened to the, I'm sorry, I got distracted by the cat. There were, I listened to the audiobook, and I would probably recommend, I wish I had read it visually, because there are a couple of really grisly childbirth scenes. And it's not like they're unnatural. These are completely natural childbirth scenes, but they're extremely detailed. And it's happening to teenage girls who don't even know what's happening to their bodies, don't know what's happening. They don't know anything about childbirth. They've not been prepared really. And so it's all very, it's super gross. It was extremely alarming. And then plus, if I had listened or read this book during my childbearing years, I definitely would have been a big no on having kids. This would have probably changed my mind if I had wanted any. But the audio version of this book, the narrator did a great job. She was excellent, but it's teenage girls, there's childbirth, there's a lot of histrionics in this book. And so when you're listening to it, to the audio version, there's a lot of screaming, and it just got on my last damn nerve. I was just beside myself. By the end of it, I was fast forwarding through those parts because I just had enough. But I'm giving it, for that reason alone, I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. The story itself, if I had read it visually, it would be a straight up 4 stars. But that element of the audio version was enough to spoil the experience of the story a little bit for me. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. I really do. I think that, it's about friendships, building friendships in difficult times. It's about, finding strength in yourself and finding strength in others. It's about, looking past yourself to help others. Put others' needs ahead of your own. I guess it's a coming of age story, kind of. I guess that's a good way to explain it. Just not your typical coming of age story, but yeah, I recommend it. I do, but I do recommend ebook or physical book versions. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Thanks.